Guru Kripa Kevalam. Namaste and welcome everyone to Satsang today. Sadguru Sri Muji Baba ki Jai. What do you need? You can put that light on. The first one. Questions? It's all clear? Bye bye. There's one. Hello.
Father, may I speak?
Yes, please.
Father, I'm very new, only 3 months old, and I just wanted to report to you that I'm carrying on with my personal prayers also, my personal conviction that the divine is the doer and he is also that which is being done.
Yeah.
I'm regularly attending your satsang. But Father, I wanted to ask you, there are certain energies I feel which I'm responding to, although I'm trying to be open and empty. And I feel that this pulsatile tinnitus in my ear that I have, I'm not being able to not respond to it. I'm not being able to accept it in an open and empty way. But I'm allowing it to get to me in the level of tension, anxiety, because I can hear the sound in my ear. And I want to ask you what I should do about it, actually, Father. I don't know what to do with it because it's been there for 2 years and I know that it's riding me. I'm not managing it. This condition is riding me.
This condition is? Can you repeat that word?
It's riding me. Its condition is instead of my being able to ignore it, I am changing my lifetime or my thoughts and the way I'm working according to how best I can keep my ear quiet.
I see.
Is there something, Father, that you would advise I could do or change my thinking or?
So, I don't know much about this condition. I know that some other Sangha members have also mentioned that they have this thing. But what I do know is that in the surrender, you see, that you're praying to the divine force, you say, to the divine presence. I know that there is no greater force in this universe than your divine presence, than this being that you are surrendering to. You see? So, whatever the affliction may be, however deeply ingrained or troublesome it may seem, I feel like by God's grace, it can all be taken care of. You see? So, I realize how difficult it must be, and all my love and blessings are with you for that. I don't want to undermine it in any way. You see, it's a big test of your openness. You see, it's a huge test, and I completely understand that all your attention must be getting fixated on it when it comes. you see. But you realize that when I speak of open and empty, I'm speaking of not making anything part of your mental narrative. You see, it can be with our attention. So I don't want you to get into this battle where you're trying to withdraw your attention from something that seems so compelling to your attention. You see, in fact, it may be better to accept it with your attention and say, okay, I'm happy to provide it as much attention as it needs. You see, but as much as possible, I know that it may seem very difficult, but as much as possible, don't make it part of your mental narrative. Don't make it part of your story, your judgment. You see, and try to resist it as little as you can. Again, all of this, as I'm saying it, may sound very difficult to you. And I have to be honest, because I haven't directly experienced this condition. I cannot say that this, if you do this, then it'll become better. But I can say that no matter what it is in this universe, you see, the source of it is greater. You see, my Father's presence is greater than that. So with your trust, with your devotion to that, may it become lighter and lighter for you, and may it become as light as a feather as time goes along. That is my full blessing. That is my full blessing to you.
Other Native Americans used to say, and South Americans too, that this was a condition where God was whispering in your ear.
Okay. Now that sounds much better.
Yes. Also, Father, I was practicing a lot of
Does it
divine,
feel like that?
divine. Sorry, Father.
When it comes, does it feel like that?
Not really, Father, but I do tell myself, Chanda, remember, this is God. This is God whispering in your ear. So he's talking. So listen.
It's a
And
very good
also,
way.
Father, I was practicing a lot of Divine Mother prayers when this tinnitus started. So a lot of intense meditation, unsupervised, on my own, as a lot of us sometimes seekers do, stupidly. And this started very soon after that. So I don't know what you feel about it, or if you've heard of people having that experience when they're trying to do their own Shakti, Kundalini sort of Jagrit exercises. And maybe this condition, or maybe that's just a mental narrative. I don't know, Father.
It's okay. It's okay. So it's good to know that this is how it started. So what happens when you're trying to awaken the auspicious energy is many times the auspiciousness of that energy first needs to clean up everything else that needs to be cleaned up. So you can look at it as a cleanup process that is happening. You see, because what happens is that with the divine energy, it is supremely intelligent as well. It is the source of all intelligence. You see, so if that is how it started, if it started by praying to the Divine Mother, then you can trust the Divine Mother to take care of it, and don't second guess it. Then, you see, let it do the cleanup job that needs to be done, so that it creates the space for itself. You see, but my recommendation to you would be that as you are trying, and I can see that, keep your attention on the highest. You see, keep your focus, not attention so much, but your value. Value the highest the most. You see, and as you value the highest, then it will take care of everything else.
Got it, Father. Thank you. Thank you so much.
One says how to remain as awareness when engaged with the phenomenal world. Rather, how to bring awareness to the foreground as a pure witness. There's probably a misunderstanding about awareness, and it's a common misunderstanding uh, where awareness may be getting confused with attentiveness. You see? So many times, what can happen is that we want to be attentive about something, and we notice that we become inattentive because the mind throws us a lot of fodder. So it seems like our attention gets dissipated, you see, and therefore we're not able to be as attentive as we like. You see. But this process of attentiveness and inattentiveness, you are aware of. So this awareness that we speak of in satsang, and maybe we co-opted a term which was meant to be similar to attentiveness, but we have used it to point to the highest. You see, that awareness remains untouched. It is not more or less. You see, even your inattentiveness, you are aware of. You see, so you can only remain as awareness. There is no option about that. You see, but it is only in your belief system, in your identification. Consciousness has the ability to identify as something other than awareness, other than the self. You see? So it is not that you have to remain as awareness as a physical process, or try to force yourself, or try to keep your attention fixated on something, and that would mean to remain as awareness. You see? It only means that don't take yourself to be something other than awareness. This is a very, very important misunderstanding, and I have to say that most spiritual seekers, even those in satsang, suffer from this. You see? And that's why mostly I say to you, try to lose the awareness. You see? Lose the awareness and show me. Don't be aware. You see? And you may notice that you can play around as consciousness with attention, and attention can be on the world, it can be inwardly facing, but that which is aware of this movement of attention is unchanging, does not come and go. You see? So try to remain as unawareness, or become unaware for a moment. You see, so it cannot be about a particular fixation of attention, and many are making that mistake. You see? It is rather about not taking yourself to be something which is a mental creation, which is just an idea. You see? The body-mind idea, or the personal idea, the ego identification. So to remain as awareness is not a play of attention. It is just a question of not identifying as anything else. So as we lose all references to ourselves, then we are remaining as awareness. Water doesn't need to remain as water, it is water. You see? But if it takes itself to be a drop or a wave, you see, then that is the trouble. Like the ocean is the ocean. It is remaining as the ocean, but it has the capacity to take itself to be the wave. And to not take yourself to be the wave is to remain as the ocean. You see, that is the best news I have for everyone, which is that organically, without referring to yourself as anything at all, you remain as the truth. You see, you don't have to take yourself to be Brahman, to be Brahman. In fact, to take yourself to be Brahman is to not be Brahman. You see? So, the pointer to be Brahman, or the pointer that you are Brahman, cannot be taken conceptually, because conceptually it just becomes an identification. So as you remain empty of all conditions, all vasanas, all identification, then naturally you're taking yourself to be awareness. This is the simple and yet very subtle pointer. Because what can happen is that we keep playing the game in our head saying, okay, what should I consider myself to be? So we try to consider ourselves to be awareness when we are in satsang. We try to consider ourselves to be something else in our worldly life. You see? But we don't need to make any such references. And empty of any such references, you are remaining as a self. You don't need any label then. Awareness is inherent, but it is ineffably inherent, you see. It is not conceptually inherent. Unexpressibly inherent. The minute you try to contain it in an expression or some concept, you see, it seems to get clouded in fact. You see. So as you leave yourself open and empty, then what are you? You see? And the minute you try to define that, you're back in the conceptual box. You're back in the play of the mind. So that's why my key pointer to you today is, what do you find without your mind? Without using your mind, what is here? Would someone like to answer this? Aha, okay. Unexpected volunteer. But I'm happy we have a volunteer. Okay.
Unexpected.
Unexpected in the sense, usually when I ask this question, everybody keeps quiet.
Father, I forget the question now.
What do you find without your mind?
I don't know how to answer now.
You know the answer and you don't know how to put it in words? Is that how it is? Or you feel like you
Yes.
don't know? Ah,
Yes.
that's a good answer.
What?
That's a good answer.
Ah,
In fact, everyone knows the answer, you see. But everyone is confusing their ability to put it into words as their knowing of the answer. I wonder who can hear me on this. Everyone knows the answer, but it is our inability to put it into words or to be able to conceptualize it, which feels like we lost the self, or I don't know who I am. And therefore, we have to undertake the practice of self inquiry to recognize that I've always known the answer. See, the self inquiry will not be answered as an answer. It is not one day that you will say, "Who am I?" and a conceptual answer will come. You are the absolute self. You see, that is as much garbage as any other idea you may have about yourself. You see? But you will see that you are the absolute self, and that seeing will not be a product of sight. It will not be a perception seeing. You will recognize. Actually, there's no word for what happens, so we have to use words like seeing or recognize or remember or understand. But all of these words don't actually match the simple insight, intuitive insight that you have about yourself. So if you trust that in your heart, in your intuition, you know yourself, you see, it is only the only trouble is that that knowing does not have a way to express itself in language. You see, and that is its beauty actually. If it was that small that it could be expressed in language, that then it would be as objective as anything else. You see, so if you can trust your heart that it knows, because it does, you see, then it would be not possible to suffer from anything at all.
hmm.
You see, so it is this pure knowing, pure knowingness, which seems to get clouded in the human play by our conceptual knowledge, by our false knowledge, which is called ignorance. You see, so satsang is to dispel this ignorance, which is false knowledge. Now, part of the ignorance is that we believe that it is this false knowledge which will get replaced by a true knowledge. You see, in our head. So we'll know something better here, and that will become the truth. But it is not like that. You see, we may stuff all the scriptures in our head, you see, but till we meet the truth here, which is not physically here, but I'm saying here intuitively, you see, when we meet the truth in our intuition, then we realize that all words are empty and at best are pointers to that. You see, so my recommendation to all of you is that we must stop playing in this arena where this game of struggle is happening. You see, because as I said the other day, there is only one game possible here. You see, which is confusion to conclusion, and our conclusion will only become our fresh confusion. If you remember this about the mind, it is enough. You will only play that game here, and you've seen it in your life many times. You can have a question: what is happening here? Master says everything is the will of consciousness. You see, and that settles us down for a bit because that's a new conclusion, and we settle with that and say, this is good. I feel like I can live like this. What happens after a few days? Oh, why is consciousness so mean? Can't it see the suffering of these poor children? You see, then new confusion comes. You see, then Master says everything, all colors and taste in this universe are the play of consciousness, and without the contrast, you will not notice. You see, without the salt, you will not notice the sweet. You see, then you'll say, nice conclusion. I can live with this now. I got it. You see, but after a few days, same something or the other. You see, that's why I call the intellect a leaky bucket. So we cannot resolve it over there. The master may keep giving you all the best answers in the world, but till you go beyond answers, till you go beyond words into your heart, you see, all of this will just be the same play, the same play of confusion and conclusion. So if you leave that entire play, you see, is there any other aspect of your being which can suffer?
Other than intellect, you say?
Yes, yes.
No.
And for your being, in reality, how large is the intellect? How much of the being space does the intellect take up? Is it as big? Is it like the head for the being? As big as the head? You see? You say, you look and you say, how to say that? Because my being is immense. It is infinite. It is beyond boundaries. So I can't say that this twittering voice is as big as the head. You cannot say it is as big as your toenail. You cannot say it is bigger than a speck of dust. So, so this intellect playing with our attention and belief makes a sufferer out of us, makes us a limited object, you see. And then we play this game of wanting, pushing, wanting, pushing. You see, only possible with this intellect. So leave that aside now. What remains?
May you repeat, please?
If you leave that aside now, your intellect aside, then what remains?
Nothing has changed. That remains, yeah.
But even change, I know it's a good answer, but even change and not change, you see, reality and unreality, truth and untruth, knowledge and ignorance, all of this belongs only to the intellect. So it is impossible really to make any conclusion about that which remains. It is impossible to make a reference about it. It is impossible to say this is what it is. And yet, you see, in that intuition, in that insight, it is clear what it is. Do you feel like it is clear or no?
For me, it's so clear. May I share something, Father?
About this or about the intellect?
No, about this.
Good. Yes.
Today I was practicing the Guruji's guidance yesterday, it has relayed about, when you wake up, do this, just stay as present. So as soon as I wake up, this practice I did, and just presence was all there is. And it has also some, I don't know, like a subtle feeling, I want to say like this. And then mind in the form of I has started to come, but it's recognized immediately. And when it is recognized, I also understand what does it mean that, to catch the thief. Like, I don't remember the whole story, but I recognize what does it mean actually. So I feel to share this now. I mean, as you said, it cannot be captured in this. It just comes up and it's again start to capture or understand. But yeah.
This is very good. So all the guidance from the masters, as much as you can, don't convert it into any sort of understanding. As much as you can, don't convert it into any sort of understanding, because very soon what the mind will do is try to hold yourself to that conceptual understanding and make you forget about what is your intuitive understanding. So as Guruji takes us through the invitation, as he takes us through the inquiry, as he invites us to stay with the sense of being, go with that pointing, but as much as you can, don't make it into any sort of a conclusion or a understanding saying that this is what happens. I know I asked you, so that was fair, but I'm saying just for yourself, you see, just for yourself. Don't make it into any sort of understanding of this is what happened. You see, because what will happen is that many times we feel like when we are sitting in inquiry, the mind makes an understanding saying that peace comes or love comes, you see, or just spaciousness comes. You see? Then after a few weeks, what happens in inquiry? Oh, inquiry stopped working because the mind is saying, where's the peace? Where's the love? Where's the spaciousness? You see? So don't understand what happens. Trust, if you're asking, who am I? Trust the process. You see? And stay with the question. Don't make it into any sort of idea about this is what it does, this is what happens. You see? Because this is all defense mechanism. We don't realize it. But our conceptual understanding of what happens in these sublime processes is just a defense mechanism, because the mind wants to say, no, I'm not lost in all of this. I know what is going on. This is what happens. You see? And that is just a setup for failure. So, um, so then what happens is that all our doership from all of these processes also then goes away, because I noticed that as through these beautiful guided meditations and things, what can happen sometimes we try too hard to do them, you see, but that is not needed. Even in satsang now, many times I notice that somebody may be trying too hard to understand what I'm saying, you see, but you cannot get it that way. Something just does, like Guruji says, the bypass, you see, the mind bypass, and touches you somewhere, you see, in your heart, and that just sprouts into an atomic scene. You see? And this is also not a true metaphor for what happens, because the mind will start looking for that. So, so just it's simple. You see, you found your way, yourself, you found your way to a master, and then you have boarded the guru train. You don't have to worry about anything after that. And I got your message also about wanting to come to Bangalore, and I'll be very happy once travel opens. You're very welcome always. You see? But remember that you're already here anyway. But all of you, always welcome to come. As long as you've seen some um, videos of Bangalore. Because if you're coming to Bangalore expecting it to be beautiful or the garden city or the lake city, then please don't have this kind of ideas. The sound is not so good. Maybe like this is better. How is this better now? Like this? Doesn't sound like underwater. They say it's better.
Thank you so much, Father.
Thank you, thank you. Love you, thank you. Okay, there was some question in the chat. Okay, one says, Sri Anantaji, listening to the beginning of your satsang on October 16th created turmoil and floods of tears, realizing there is a me expecting something out of freedom. That's good. It's good to see, you see. It's very good to see. It came at a point where I had been questioning the truth of my understanding and positioning, observing there was not true joy or enthusiasm, and possibly a fear of living. Could I check in with you, please, Anantaji? Ah, yes. Do you want to come up, my dear? I have
Yes,
unmuted
yes.
your mic. You can come.
Anantaji.
Namaste, namaste.
Yes, I wrote this. Please forgive me because tears keep coming out ever since. It's been 2 days now. It was quite unexpected.
Take your time. Take as much time as you need.
I suppose it, I just don't know what to say. It needed to be exposed.
Can you tell me fresh? Can you tell me fresh? What was the discovery? What did you find when you saw?
Well, actually, I was listening to this sad song. I had never listened to a sad song of you before, and suddenly something hit, and it started crying and crying and crying, and I thought, oh, and so I let it be. I suppose there is. Shame, guilt, sorrow, that there is still this me that can be caught in this. I suppose there is, I feel out of courage and at some, I know this is all rubbish, but
It's okay. Sometimes good to get it out.
I suppose it is also realizing that it is the loss of illusions, I suppose. I don't even know how to talk about this now. I'm going to say I thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, there is a me there is this expectation that freedom will make this clouds be overcome. I don't know how to say.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Suppose I said to you that you will get the truth in satsang, or just provisionally I can say I give you the truth. But
I
it
don't
comes with,
believe you because I am truth, and this I know as words, but somehow how can I?
stay with me a moment, just stay with me a moment.
Yes.
So if I say to you that I give you the truth, and I also tell you that the only thing that will change is that you will no longer live a lie.
Live
You
what?
see? Live a lie. You will no longer live a lie. It will only be the truth. But you will get no benefit from it. Nothing good will come. In fact, whatever you feel in your life is good, that also may not be there anymore after that. Would
Can
you
you
still
repeat
want?
this?
Yes, yes, yes. So I say,
There's a lot of turmoil in there.
I understand. I understand. And I'm happy to repeat as often as needed. Don't worry. So, if I say to you that you come to satsang and I give you the truth, you see, but there is no benefit to the truth, no joy, no peace, no love, nothing except that it is true, and therefore you stop living a lie. You see, would you say, I want to continue to live a lie as long as I can have the good things like love, peace, and joy?
No.
Then that is it, you see.
What?
That is very good. Then that is very good.
It is still, yeah. But.
Don't worry. Because that answer came from your heart. It came immediately, you see. It came without your mind being involved. So I accept that answer. And it so this satsang or these kind of satsangs are for those who want truth for the truth's sake. You see? And this is a very auspicious seeing that you had, that the mind will still try to make some other thing out of it and say, oh, no, no, I want this to change. I want my life to be full of peace. I want this to happen. You see? Now, all those things may happen. I'm not guaranteeing that they will not happen. You see? I'm not saying that they definitely will not happen. All I'm saying is that when we expect those things, then the mind uses them as benchmarks and causes trouble. You see, it just causes trouble and says, sets you up for failure.
It says what?
It sets you up to fail.
And
You see, you see. But instead of that, if it is clear, you see, I want truth for truth's sake. I want God for God's sake. That's all. Then whatever truth may bring, whatever else may come, is welcomed, is auspicious. So if there's something that the me wants, you see, may it be the truth, may it be just the truth. You see? And in that desire for the truth will eat up the me itself. That way, the the last desire for the me can be God or the truth.
a bit a bit later in this sad song. I didn't watch it the whole way. I didn't have time. Well,
Okay.
there was no time. But you somehow pointed all the things that you had discovered during your own path, and I could see this person, this seeker, going all the way, doing them all. So it's just In Rishikesh, Guruji said, for you just now, um, to be tried, don't know what is the true positioning.
No position. No position is the true position. Emptiness in a way. But what happens is we have to be a little careful of even the word emptiness, because many can make ourselves full with the notion of emptiness. You see? It's like I say to all of you, empty your cup. You see, but you fill the cup up with empty your cup, empty your cup, empty your cup. So the cup is no longer empty. You see, so that's why Guruji says emptiness beyond the notion of emptiness.
This is it, actually. That's where I don't know which really what word to use, but this is like what was seen when this hit me is that everything that I mistook true silence for phenomenal silence. I mistook so many. So you said you gave this exercise: lose yourself, try to
Yeah.
lose yourself, and then yesterday it was so much turmoil inside. I had to go up the mountain to rise up. And actually, I was above a sea of cloud. It was great. But at some point, I re-listened to the beginning of the satsang, and then I started walking again, and I got totally lost in the bushes. And I
Oh,
was, and this is a bit what it feels inside. I know it's just, I don't know.
it's okay. As we lose, as we are losing a hold on everything that we have taken to be true, you see, the fear comes that I may get fully lost. You see, and consciousness has a sense of humor, and it play this way externally as well. You see, so it can play like that sometimes. But the thing is that we are not getting lost; we are actually getting found. You see, as we are losing everything that we have taken to be true, including our holiest concepts, our highest notions. You see, as long as now we are seeing them to be false, as we are seeing that they are made up of dust. You see, they are nothing.
Sorry again.
As we are seeing that the our highest notions are also made up of dust.
Yes.
You see, they are nothing. Then the fear can come. It is very natural for a fear to come, saying that, but without these, I am lost, because these were my highest findings. You see, this was my highest understanding, and the master's taking those away. You see, he's taking those away, he's chopping those away, and it can feel like, but then what am I left with? You see, and but this emptiness, to be left with nothing here, is the fullness here. Is the fullness here. So I'm very happy. If you were the only one who hears that satsang that day, then that satsang itself would be worth it, because so much seeing, so much auspiciousness has happened by Guruji's grace, by you hearing those words.
Yes. May I always remember.
Don't take any trouble even to try and remember. You see? Take any trouble.
Yeah.
Nothing. Life is taking care.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So happy to hear from you. Very good. Okay. One says, if I'm honest, I think that I am in satsang to end my suffering, not just for the truth. Am I a hopeless case? Well, in this case, you see, there is no end of suffering unless it is with the truth. There may be some provisional, like I talk about conclusion. It may seem like we come to some end of suffering, but unless it is the truth, it is not the end of suffering. So it's fine. It's fine. You see, the end of suffering doesn't mean that it is a desire for some experiences. You see. It's fine. You're not a hopeless case. You're good. You're good. Okay, Mada wants to come up. You can come, my dear. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
Thank you.
Oh, it's you, Madalena.
Yes, somehow my Zoom comes up as different,
It's
under a
fine.
different name. Um,
Are you thinking about it so much? Or?
I think no. Thank you. This was so beautiful with the lady that just spoke before, and I think I needed a reminder that life takes care of life, and that the truth is probably greater than everything I think I am.
Yes, yes, yes.
And when I put my hand up, I had something in mind that I wanted to expose a strong me and a strong I who
I've never met a strong me.
they even took ownership of, I guess, the willingness of surrendering.
Yes, yes. But the thing is that they make the claim. You see, they make the claim to ownership. They never really take the ownership of anything. Or it, the me, is the claimant to all things. It has the lawsuit about everything, but it has never won a lawsuit in its life. It has claimed dominance of this entire world, but not a speck of dust it can own, because it itself is not even a speck of dust.
How,
Tell me something that the me owns. Where is this me who is the owner anyway?
there is a sense that anything I could say now, like me owns something, it's not true.
Yes, something has to exist to own something. No? How can the non-existent own something? One child, she called me to her house during the lockdown time. She moved to Bangalore and she took a house in the building. And we've not been really going out of the building. Just recently, some more have started coming. But so she invited me to the housewarming ceremony. So this one can be quite this one who's speaking now can be quite rude sometimes. So I went to the house warming ceremony and I said, I don't know what came over me, but I said, we feel like we own a house and we own the things in a house, but who is the owner? You see? Something like this. Nobody owns all of this. Not the best speech in a housewarming ceremony, but what to
But it's a good reminder, I think.
do? Well, I hope it is taken that way.
Um, when I cannot surrender things
Hmm.
and let go, I'm sitting and trying to practice self-inquiry, which I have no idea how to do. But when I sit with a thought and I'm thinking, okay, this is just observed, so that's not me. Who am I? After sitting for a while, there is this sense of peace, which is also observed. So,
Yes.
and somehow, because in all these satsangs, people are describing this awareness as peace and joy and love. So my mind can't get rid of these concepts, so is expecting something
Hmm.
and is recognizing that something, which is like the mind creation probably as well.
Yeah.
How should I go about this?
What do you find without your mind?
Nothing.
Do you find nothing?
I think
No. If you think, then it's the mind. What do you find without the mind?
there is a sense of fear of recognition, which dominates my mind now.
Let whatever is in your mind stay in your mind. It's okay. Don't worry about trying to change that. You see?
Mm-hmm.
But what else is there? Okay, let me ask you in another way. Are you also inside your mind?
No,
Then what are you without your mind?
everything. Uh,
In a way, in a way. If you're just using the term to define something that is actually undefinable, then we can say either nothing or everything. It doesn't matter. You see? But it is the
when I say
recognition.
that there is a fear inside
Yeah.
me, I might say that sooner than completely grasping it in my heart.
All this is in the mind, no? All this is in the mind. So
Yeah,
for a moment, if I was to say, I am not concerned with the content of the mind. I don't really care what is going on in the mind. because it is not in service to you, then and if you were to have that same callousness about what the mind is saying, then how would things be?
Easy.
Is there any other struggle except in the mind?
In the physical body.
And the physical body is just a term in the mind, isn't it? Maybe I'm going
Can you?
maybe I'm
No,
going
no.
too far with that. But the notion of the physical body is just a notion in the mind.
Yeah.
What divides this body from the rest of the manifest appearance? So I'm presuming that when you said the physical body, you were not talking about the body of consciousness, which is this entire universe. I'm presuming that you were talking about one body, which seems to be the central protagonist to this story. But
Yes.
what separates this from that? You see
The
this
mind.
body. That's it. That's what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I'm saying. So when we say the physical body, it has made a notional boundary for a me using the perception and sensations of one particular body. But in reality, not even full reality, but a midway reality is that this universe is your body, or everything that is perceived as the manifest is your body, because nothing divides it. You see, there is no me and other except using the mind. There is no boundary, there is no division except using the mind. And that is why children, I don't know if Anna does the same thing, but with children, what happens is that you see, you tell them, you try to teach them, show me your head, and many times they point to your head. They say, no, 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 your head. You see, all of us as parents remember this because they don't have this notion of me and you yet. You see, fortunately or unfortunately, we teach them. Um, and it's part of the parenting process. It's fine, but fundamentally, these divisions of me and you, of separation, are not there organically. They are conditioning. They are things that we learned.
That's true.
Don't try to understand too much.
No.
Good.
I do have another question,
Yeah.
which is related to Anna,
Yeah.
the child with disabilities. Now, her intellect is very low, and I've been trying very hard to teach her things. And I'm wondering if she's in the truth more than me.
Yeah. But as a parent, so that's why I said that parenting is a different process, right? As a parent, they will naturally, you will know in your heart, in your intuitive sense of how much you need to teach them, what you need to teach them. So don't don't confuse yourself with that. You see, many times in this human play, you see, we have to go through that play of conditioning and then deconditioning to come to this reality. You see, because many parents try this other style that I will not teach my children, this is your head, this is my head, this kind of thing. And then they also end up, those children also end up struggling a lot because they end up very confused. The rest of society is saying things which they don't understand. So it's fine, let them come to this spiritual quest on their own if that is their destiny. You can be just a normal parent when it comes to parenting, as open and intuitive as possible, of course. But don't try to be a special spiritual parent or something like
Yeah. Uh, uh, with my typical child, with my son, I think that's what's happening. With Anna, the child with disabilities, is I'm trying to understand her beyond the normality
that.
of the
Yeah,
parenting, let's say.
yeah, yeah. I understand that. I understand that. Let that be guided by your intuition. Let that be guided by your heart as much as you can. There you go.
Thank you.
Very welcome, my dear. Mhm. Sometimes I wonder whether plant, a plant, also lives like that. You see? Like the plant has its existence, but does the plant consciousness, the consciousness expressing itself as a plant, also have this like attachment to defining using a mind or thoughts and things like that? You see? And you notice it's a beautiful example because there's a great intelligence in the life of every plant. Where does the next branch have to grow? Where does the fruit have to come? The flower have to come? How heavy the fruit must be? All of this is done by the supreme intelligence of consciousness. But hopefully, it doesn't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I wonder if a bird sits on the plant and pecks at the fruit, and the plant says, "Hey, get away! It's my fruit."
Mm.
Maybe the plant thinks, "Oh, it's not rain for a few days. Where am I going to get my water next?" Does it think like that? Hope not. Humans are enough for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If we don't get enough water in one land, we move.
They also move, like birds move, not plants, of course. But birds move.
Plants don't. Yeah, the
Birds don't.
plants.
But they move intuitively. They migrate intuitively.
Yeah.
Good, good, good.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Chanda, you have your hand up. Is it from last time or you want to come up again?
It's from last time, Father.
Acha, acha. Okay, okay. Thank you. Okay, so we play some music. I've been listening to a lot of the Saint Kabir's words. So let me play something. I've been listening to Sri Prahlad Tipanya again quite a bit. He graced us with his presence. Maybe what was it, 2-3 years ago? Very beautiful.
जी सब घट मोरा साइया और सोनी सैजन को अरे बलिहारी घट की तो जा घट पर घट साहिब तुम्हारे साहिबी सब घट रही समाई अरे जो मेहंदी के पात में लाली लगी तो लाली मेरे लाल की न जित देखूं लाल अरे लाली देखन में गई तुम्हें भी हो लाल है जी लाल लाल तो सब कहे न सबके पल्ले लाल पर अरे गांठ खोल देखा नहीं और या से भया कंगाल
So I don't know whether I should share this story, but he came to our house. No, he came and shared satsang, and everybody. There were very many people from the south. Actually, we also don't understand the language so much, but many people were here from the south of India. Some people from other countries were also here. And at the end of the satsang, everybody came to me and said, "So beautiful, Father. Thank you, Father. So good, so good." Yeah. Then what happened is that Prahlad ji said that tomorrow, the next day, he was performing at somebody else's house, and would we want to join? And I felt like, because everybody really enjoyed it, I said, "Yeah, we'll come." And then it was just how many of us? 2 or 3, 4 of us who went. Because what happens is that I forgot about politeness. No? So sometimes what happens is that when we don't understand, we feel like it is not of much value. So everybody was being very polite, but nobody showed up the next day. And yet, I share that story. No. Okay, so now something that everyone can understand.
Past the point of no return, seen the lies, I've seen them burn. Here to overcome it all, here to rise, I cannot fall. At the edge of you and me, free from mental slavery. Stand alone, one in you, power coming through. I hear you call, the one inside the hearts of all. I hear you call, the one inside the hearts of all. Everyone is in his reach, everything is here to teach you. Listen for the one in you, one in all. Ever true, I find out what my life is worth. All I love is here on earth. Stand alone, one in you, power coming through. I hear you call, the one inside the hearts of all. I hear you call,
The
one inside the hearts of all. And I'll take my chances. The path is lesser known, but he's walking with me. He goes before. Now I hear you call, the one inside the hearts of all. I hear you call, the one inside the hearts of all. I hear you
Thank you all so much for being in satsang today. Sadguru Shri Muji Baba ki
Jai.
Guru Kripa Kevalam.